All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of LearnBiz The Podcast. We are chatting with you this morning about our entrepreneur news mix. I am Sandy B, and I am joined by the lovely Lisa K. Crawford. How are you today, Lisa?
I'm doing great, Sandy B. A lovely, lovely morning to a lovely, lovely lady and a lovely, lovely Friday. How about it?
Lord have mercy. Help us all, Lord. Help us all. So, today, to kick us off, want to make sure that we first, before we do anything, is to take some time to acknowledge our veterans. Today is Veterans Day. And as you may know, during Veterans Day, there are many events and observances, and of course, the discounts. So, if you are a veteran and you have not already tapped in, please check out the VA website. That'll give you some great tips and resources for you to celebrate this Veterans Day. Got any veterans in
Absolutely.
your life, Lisa?
Yes, I do. I want to give a very special Veterans Day shout out to my fiance, Rigoberto Morales,
All
and
right.
him and everyone like him who served. Happy Veterans Day. I mean, this country would not be as safe as it is, and I would not sleep as well as I do each and every night had it not been for the great men and women of this country protecting and serving us nationally.
Well, shout out to you, Rigo. I know quite a host of veterans. I won't speak their names, but they know who they are. Happy Veterans Day to each and every one of you.
Yeah.
All right, so gonna go ahead and kick this off. We would not be complete without tapping back into the PPP loan fraudsters at their best.
Oh boy.
And none other than this Miami man, because of course here in South Florida we have to be the worst of the fraudsters. This Miami man decided, hey, I'm gonna spend 4.4 million in COVID loans on Teslas, a Lamborghini, and a Porsche. I don't even have words
Wait,
for this
you
one.
mean that wasn't for the business?
What business, child? What business? Why would we have a business? That would just defeat the purpose of a payroll protection program. So, South Florida federal authorities say Andre Lorquette, pictured here on this Instagram page, fraudulently received 4.4 million in COVID relief funds. He has been indicted on 4 counts of wire fraud, 4 counts of money laundering, and 1 count of aggravated identity theft. Bruh, Andre, he pretended to be a certified tax preparer, falsely claimed a handful of businesses were struggling during the pandemic, and he ended up spending the millions that he got from the government on exotic cars. Come on,
Hmm.
Andre. Come
So
on, Andre.
Andre was one of those ones that just got caught. Not saying that everybody was dishonest, but there are a lot of Andres out there who have just not been caught.
Well, you know what's interesting is during the whole process of the PPP loans, I remember seeing people posting on, different spaces like Facebook, offering to create bank statements for folks, offering to create financials for folks, offering all these services. And the interesting part with this case is he applied for loans totaling 4.7 million. He completed falsified IRS forms with bogus revenue, payroll, and other information through his company, Miami ENT LLC, between June 2020 and November 2021. And the prosecutors allege that he received like almost the entire amount. He got 4.4 million out of the 4.7, which was
Hmm.
all approved by lenders and guaranteed by the Small Business Administration under the massive pandemic relief program. Now, I could barely get anything. I know a lot of business owners who could barely get anything.
Right?
And part of it was because, I can't be mad at Andre because Andre actually tapped in to the foolishness and made sure that he had some business documents to present.
Hey.
And so that to me is a lesson to us as entrepreneurs. Number one, do not commit fraud in order to get
True.
money from the government of all entities. And
Hmm.
number two, if you're going to go through all these lengths, can you at least use a payroll somewhere in the mix? You might have reduced all of these charges, sir, if you had actually conducted a business. Maybe they would have missed your situation if they didn't see your Lamborghinis, your Porsche, and your Teslas.
Couldn't you at least put your pets on the payroll? I mean, something.
Oh my God. It's just a never ending story. And you start to ask yourself, like, why? Now, after losing billions of dollars in pandemic relief funds due to phony claims, the US government started deploying investigative teams in South Florida, California, Maryland. I wonder why. Of course, these are hubs, right? In September, to zero in on crime organizations that are suspected of stealing from public programs and offering small business loans as well as unemployment insurance. Bruh, they didn't even stop at the loans.
Huh? They went and sought unemployment insurance as well?
What's wrong with these people?
You know, but you know what? These are some of the same issues that happen after disasters too. You know what I mean? There's a lot of padding and inflation and I don't know. You never can stop people from being dishonest. There's always going to be a select group within any group.
Well, if you're sitting at home and you were one of these fraudsters, know that they may be coming for you. In South Florida, criminal cases have included a businessman using PPP money to buy a $318,000 Lamborghini, a nurse who lied about his business to get $474,000 that was used in part to pay a Mercedes-Benz lease and child support, and a North Miami suburban couple who claimed to be farmers to qualify for $1 million in relief benefits. I'm through with these people, boy.
$1 million in relief for the farmer?
For the farmers.
Wow.
And to think that there are actual farmers out here that are trying to live a good life, and these fools, this is what they're doing.
And that makes it bad. But do you think that overall it still was a good thing, and overall most people benefited in a great way, and that the fraud was pretty minimal? How would you characterize it?
I think the fraud magnified the fact that there are a lot of businesses that had to close their doors. And it magnified the fact that their process did not consider small businesses at all. Because if they did, I mean, could you not recognize that there was going to be fraud in this process? There's no way. So many people were dealing with so many things during the time of COVID. And if you were already a fraudster, you magnified your efforts. So I don't know whether it was a good thing or not. I really would have to see what the numbers were and how many businesses were actually helped versus how much went to the fraudsters.
Well, I think free money is always a good thing. However, when it comes to who qualified and how you qualified, I wish it was more fair. And I do wish there had been more time to do background checks. But from what I heard, the Biden administration already have factored that into their emergency.
Yeah, they so full of it. I'm amazed when I keep hearing these stories, and I'm like, so y'all couldn't verify nothing? Like there was nothing that you could verify? Because when I went through the process, I felt like we were under a magnifying glass.
I guess it depends on your banking relationship.
Child, they just it's bushwhack bill. I'm gonna pass it to you, Lisa. I'm over it.
Yeah, I mean, I do understand how you feel about that, and I think it is kind of sad that so many people just was able to basically rip off their fellow citizens.
Man,
that's
big really old U.S. government. You all couldn't figure out how to make sure that this system was at least somewhat safe. Good morning, Rigo. You came in right on time.
Good morning, Rigo.
Happy Veterans Day to you, Rigo.
Yes, happy Veterans Day. Sandy is going off over here.
I'm done. I've expired on all the thoughts.
All right. Well, Sandy, we better go ahead and talk about the end of the year since it's right around the corner. And as you know, there are some things that we need to be doing in business every year as we get closer to the end of the year. And so this article lays out a few of those tips for us that we should be considering. And so we'll just go through them. There's only 5 of them. One is if you haven't already incorporated your business in some form, fashion, shape, or another, you might want to consider doing that by the first of the year. This article says business year end is a good time to reflect on your business organization. A sole proprietorship is the most common form of small business to take, but is it really the best choice for your business? As you prepare your tax forms, calculate the taxes you would have to pay if you were to convert your business to a corporation versus the taxes you would pay if you were to convert to an a LLC or form an LLC. If you are considering incorporating, targeting a January 1st effective date can make preparing your annual financial statements less complicated because you're starting right at the beginning of the year. So, article also says if you need help incorporating your business, definitely talk to someone. Sandy, who should people talk to generally when they need help incorporating?
I mean, I think the best person to connect with is your accountant. And if you don't have one, you should at least consult with one. And there's two reasons why. Number one, we don't understand the impact of the business structure that we have on our taxes. We don't, because we don't know what that is. We need to consult with someone who understands that. And the nature of our business is going to dictate what it is that we need to structure ourselves as. Number two, tax preparation doesn't start at the end of the year. You should be doing tax planning at the start of the year so that you can work your way through the year and know, all right, these are my goals. These are the deductions I want to take. These are the draws I want to take from the business and stuff like that. So I think the accountant is your key to all sanity, especially if you want to avoid a tax man. Because trust me, child, I know some things about the tax man.
Bingo, Sandy. If you were a contestant, you would have just won $1 million. Ding,
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 ding.
ding.
However, you are disqualified as a co host of the show. Sorry.
Oh boy, I can't make no money. I can't make no money.
But you're absolutely right. Start with that accountant. And I would say number two, when you finally talk with the accountant and you find out which type of tax for business formation you're going to start, then you may need to talk with an attorney about actually incorporating the business if you need help.
Yeah.
Number two on this list is prepare your tax paperwork. How that flows. Um, as Sandy's saying, December is not the time to basically start looking at your taxes, but it is a good time to reflect over your tax year. Consider taking time to review all your paperwork, identify any issues which may exist that may arise with the Internal Revenue Service. Yes, we want to definitely keep them from breathing down our necks. Better yet, it says consult a tax advisor, as Sandy just stated, and see if you qualify for any additional deductions. I wonder how many we actually miss per year.
I'm sure we miss a boatload. I mean, I think one important deduction that many business owners don't think about is you're purchasing things throughout the year. There is a long list of things that you can deduct dollar for dollar based upon your business and what equipment you need and what software you need. Most people don't know that. But
That's true.
we also have to understand deductions come at a detriment too. If you deduct every single penny, then you're reducing in many ways the amount of,
Your
income that is
earnings.
coming out to you. So,
Yeah.
if you have certain goals like purchasing property or, doing certain things, you're going to have to be mindful of what that bottom line looks like. Like for general purposes, it's great. If you're not reflecting any income, you're eligible for a lot of different things, but you also put yourself in a negative position sometimes.
That's true. All those things have to be considered at the same doggone time. And number three, review your documentation. So look at all your business documents. They say here is a good time to update your business plan. Get your old paperwork out the mix, correct mistakes, take care of any license renewals, things like that, that you can make a plan at the end of the year to tackle these things every single year. Do you have anything to add to this list?
And I would say that this should be done periodically, actually. I would, for me, every quarter is a time for me to kind of look at things and kind of make adjustments because I make changes throughout the year. I may have a certain software that I'm using at a certain point of time. I may have a certain system that I'm employing. And if it's not working, I'd be like, next quarter, I'm making an adjustment. And that's kind of how I operate. My Sean Denise, good morning. My Sean, I got to send you a
Good
message because
morning.
we got to get you on the show. We haven't figured out what day we're going to do that, but we got to coordinate our
Yes.
forces.
Well, yeah, we definitely do. I so appreciate, let me just digress and say, I so appreciate my Sean Denise for pointing out some of the issues that are going on around what I have labeled as a housing crisis in this country.
Oh,
And she's
yes.
dealing with those things. And I really appreciate you, sis, for putting some focus on those issues in our
Well,
communities.
I appreciate my Sean because I have a new dance.
Oh,
Spiders
boy.
make up weave. Spiders make up weave. I be jamming. Sometimes I just play it in the morning just to get myself hyped and get through the day. So thank you so much, my Sean Denise, for getting someone to take those tidbits and put them together into a theme song. That's the theme
I
song of the year.
I love it. I definitely do. All right, so we got a couple more here. So on number 3, I would say I love the idea of updating your business plan. I think sometimes, a lot of times, my thought is that people probably do like me, like they prepare the business plan and you probably stick it away in a file. You're probably not even looking at it on a regular basis, whereas we should be looking at that thing and updating it regularly. So that's a good thing. A couple quick more. Provide feedback to your employees. Sometimes employers don't even like to do this because they don't want to hear the criticism. They don't want to hear the
Mhm.
critique. But you know what? We have to open ourselves up and take it and receive it because I think that's the only way we're going to grow. And then the other thing, it talks about make sure you have your contracts, the right contracts and policies in place with your employees, like your employment agreements. Or if there's an employee handbook that needs to be updated, make sure that's all updated and has everything in there that it needs.
All right.
Sandy.
Well, shout out to Doug. Thank you for tuning in. To add to your comments here, one thing I would say about providing feedback, I never realized how bad I was at providing feedback until one day I was talking to my paralegal and she's like, Sandy, you don't need to write out like every step of what you want me to do. Like, if you just tell me what you want done, like what the end goal is, I can get it done. I was like, man, Sarah, why you ain't tell me that long time ago? I'm over here writing these detailed instructions and doing all this other stuff. And then it's like, sometimes something will go wrong. And I want to give correction without, chastising. Because I never liked when my boss would talk to me crazy. Like, if I do
Mm-hmm.
something wrong, let's have a conversation. But don't talk to me like I'm your child. Don't yell at me. Don't do all that stuff. Let's have a conversation. So for me, I've taken this providing feedback as being mindful of who I'm talking to. She does great work for me, so I need to talk to her with a certain tone. If something went wrong, we can have a conversation, we can fix it and adjust it, but I don't have to talk to her crazy because again, this is somebody that's providing a service to me. She's working for me, but I'm also getting a benefit from her. So I can't be talking to her crazy and then expect her to do the best work. That don't make sense.
That's absolutely true. And I'll give you another real quick one about providing feedback. I learned to do this because I almost lost an employee because of my bad attitude. So a lot of times back in the day when I was doing a lot more criminal law, I would come in from court, come into the office, my secretary was there, and I would most afternoons, I'd already be in like a pissed off bad mood. I don't know what was
Ooh,
going on. But it took me, we had a talk one day and she said, Miss Crawford, it takes you about 30-40 minutes to kind of calm down and come back to
dang.
yourself. She said, every time you come in from court, you're a little bit hyper. You start asking me all kinds of things, and I can feel your stress. And
Oh,
she was
wow.
saying, I really would prefer if you would just stop, take some time, take about 30-40 minutes, whatever you need before we engage, because you know, it's it was making a bad environment for her. And so I had to ask her at certain times after when I came out, I said, am I acting okay? Am I being
Ooh,
good
Lord,
today?
you needed a can of that woo saw. Good Lord, you needed to sit down and cross the legs and put the little fingers together or something. Good
I
Lord.
needed to breathe in and breathe out. And I didn't know anything about yoga at that point.
Lisa, my Sean says, I'm an adult. Speak to me and treat me like an adult. That's all
How
I
about
ask.
that?
That's all I ask for. It's just
How
you just
about
gotta
that?
decompress. Do the woo saw. Rigo said,
Right.
"Really, you, Lisa, with an
Ri-
attitude? I do
Oh
declare."
my,
Rigo is
I
clutching
know.
his pearls right now. He's like, "I
Oh
do
my
declare."
God. Rico is being funny right now, but that's all right. Good morning. I didn't get to say good morning to Doug. Good morning,
Look,
Doug.
I
So
can't. I
here's the
can't.
last one, guys. Set goals for the coming year. How many of us don't really take the time to write these things down on paper? What do I want to accomplish in 2023? Sometimes people say when you write it down, it materializes faster than when you keep it in your head. So take your goals, I would say, and put them down on paper. This article says to reflect on them, analyze them, assess whether or not your business is where it wants to be. It's a time for reflection. I truly would say the end of the year is a time for reflection. Sandy, your final thoughts on the article?
I mean, I could definitely testify to setting goals and writing things down. I'm a little obsessive sometimes with writing things down, so I'll have lists and lists and lists and lists. But I do find that when I set a goal, if I say, all right, this week I want to have this month I want to have a certain amount of consultations. I want to meet with a certain amount of clients. I want to do a certain amount of events. I want to have a certain amount of live streams. I usually find that when I do iron that out, I will do it because then I have something that I can check off of my list. Whereas if I'm just saying in my head, all right, I want to accomplish this year, most of the time, none of that stuff happens. So you really have to kind of put yourself in that mind frame. And I also like setting goals in all kinds of chunks. So I have my year, I have in the next 5 years, I have every month, I have every quarter, every 6 months. There's a lot of checkpoints that I'll put into play and gradually make adjustments because sometimes we don't accomplish things that we have on the list. So we need to find a way to adjust it and put it somewhere else.
I love it, Sandy. You know what you're telling me is that you have trained your mind to basically step back away from your business, look at the big picture, look at the big calendar, and see the planning of your business for the future. The fact that you can step away and do that in your mindset is a beautiful thing, and I commend you for having plans that far out, 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, way to go.
Well, I must say, entrepreneur mindset is key. And
Yes.
who is swag? Baby.
Baby. Okay, that's an inside joke. Going back to Deion Sanders.
Oh shoot! I love me some Deion Sanders motivation, man. If nothing else, Deion will give you that motivation to keep you going.
He will. He
Now,
is the real coach.
let me tell you something. I'm gonna derail a little bit right now because I'm so tired of this right here.
What's
For
that?
those that know, I'm here in South Florida, at Miami to be specific. And when I tell you, I'm so tired of seeing these developments because one of my problems, Chicago developer proposes 450 unit apartment complex in North Miami. For those that have not been down here to Miami or don't understand the dynamics in terms of traffic, transportation, access, this is not a good thing. And they can wrap it in whatever bows they want to. But every time they add one of these new complexes, the traffic triples in nasty. And the saddest part about this stuff, there is no transportation. There's no train. There's no trolley. There's no easy access buses. There's nothing. So they add these 450 units. That means you probably have a good fraction of these individuals that are going to be on the road congesting up the streets. I'm over it. And I look at the details a lot of times and they're like, oh, they act like it's such a great thing. So Golub and Company has filed plans to build a 19-story apartment tower at the former Johnson & Wales campus in North Miami. I'm not sure if you're familiar, Lisa, but Johnson & Wales used to have a culinary it was like a university culinary school type thing.
I remember seeing that location down there.
Yep. I don't know what happened to it. I'm not sure if it closed down or if it moved somewhere. But this project proposes to have 450 market rate rental apartments. Now, what's the market rate right now,
Problem.
Right.
You know what, Sandy? The whole time you were talking, I'm thinking like I'm listening to Sandy. She's talking about traffic.
Yes.
Okay. However, but if this is affordable housing, we need this. That's what I was thinking until you just showed me this is all market rate rental apartments. Market rate right now. How about $2,800 to $3,500 for a 2-bedroom apartment that's not even 1,000 square feet. How
Yep.
about that? That's what we're looking at for market rate, if not more.
And 685 parking spaces, a 5-level parking garage, 11,620 square feet of retail space. So for me, this says not only you're going to have a bunch of bodies here living here, you're going to be bringing more bodies there because you're going to add retail space. And then you have an outdoor public plaza. So again, you're going to have more people circulating in a place that has no parking, because obviously this is going to be a apartment complex. But if you're going to have retail,
there's more than 200 additional parking spots for retail. You can see that there, right? There's 450 units. There's 685 parking spaces on 5 levels. So no, they totally planned this with shopping in mind for that first floor.
Well, just imagine when that shopping overflows, as we are entering periods of time where people shop heavily. And obviously this is not being built right this moment, but just imagine holiday season. Just picture it. Look at malls like Sawgrass Mills and Aventura Mall. They are overflowing. You can't even find parking. So imagine this area already does not have places to turn. You don't have extra areas to go to. So the congestion will be, I don't even want to think about it right now.
People need to own. My thing is people need to own property. People need to own real estate. The most inflation type of investment and proof investment you can make is in investing in real estate.
Yeah.
So if inflation is rising, so is your property values. So that is the type of investment. Now, getting people to just rent, and I don't understand what this trend is right here. I have some stats this morning that I could share with you just very briefly, and it does flow in with your article because I do keep up with the real estate trends, and I'll just share this very briefly. And I was very saddened by what I'm about to share with you guys, but it's some news in our industry, and I think I just found it right here. It's saying that these are current stats from Inman, which keeps up with trends in real estate for first-time home buyers. It says first-time home buyers decreased. This is current, guys. Decreased to 26% of the market share. This is current. And this is down from 34% last year. Yeah. And this is below the normal historical norm of 40% among primary residence homeowners. So usually first-time home buyers should be representing up to about 40% of the market buyers. Right now, it's 26% in this country.
Now, is this across the country?
This is across the country. And in fact, it says right here, 2022 had the lowest percentage of first-time home buyers since the National Association of Realtors began collecting this data.
Yeah,
we are living in historic times.
We're going backwards is what we're doing. We're going backwards. And these developments don't make me happy. I hear a lot of folks talking about the benefits to the community and benefits to this, but you're talking about market rate rent. So there is no benefit to the community as far as I'm concerned. Now, if you want to talk about employees, I'm sure you'll employ some people from other communities to come in to work. But other than that, no. So I'm kind of over it. Let me just shoot it back to you. I can't even read no more of this article because it gets on my nerves. It really does get on my nerves.
Well, I tell you, that right there is very interesting. I do think housing is important, but my goodness, we need more affordable housing, and we need to find ways for people to be able to afford home ownership. There's a book called The Color of Law by Richard Rothstein. It will explain the United States government's involvement in housing segregation all across this country. And it really accounts for the reasons why people of color are not on parity in terms of acquiring home ownership. We have a lot of catch up.
Well, okay. I want to touch on this picture as well. I forgot to show this picture. So this is the location that we're talking about. And I want you to look at this street here. That's, in the sideways here. This is not like a multi lane roadway. We're talking 2, maybe 3 lanes in some parts, but in many parts, it's like 2 lanes. And so you are adding this amount of people at one time without adding anything else to this equation. That's all I have to say. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Like, look at it. Look at it.
It stands out like a freaking sore thumb, is what I see.
And look at the coast. Look at the towers on the coast. It's the same crap. They just keep building these towers and congesting the roads even more and more and more.
And not only that,
and then they make it look like it's like all it's going to be pretty and stuff. I don't care about your pretty.
Well, there's infrastructure concerns that that you have to be concerned about. You have to balance capitalism with what makes sense. And but these days it's like, look, we will think about the cost of it later. Right now, let's just make the money. And that's a bad attitude in capitalism, because people factor in, oh, we're going to hurt so many people and some of their business. Like, think about certain products out there that medical products that injure people. Some of these businesses factor that in, and we're probably going to get X amount in lawsuits, but we will have made like 10 billion times that in profit. So it's okay.
Their hair will grow back. It's fine.
So sad. But anyway, Sandy, that was a really good article. I enjoyed that. And I think you're right. We have some things that we really need to pay attention to as far as how we're growing, right?
I definitely agree.
Let's talk about something a little bit fun. Have you been to the Tom Joyner Foundation Fantastic Voyage cruise? Have you been on it?
I have yet to be on this cruise.
Well, guess who's going to be headlining 2023's Tom Joyner Voyage? None other than the iconic Stevie Wonder.
Oh, shoot, Stevie
Wonder. And guess what? The cruise, as of November 3rd, which is when this article was printed, the cruise is 80% sold out.
That's probably why I haven't been on one, because if it's going to be sold out this quickly, it's like, am I even going to get a ticket? Like, how much do tickets cost to this thing?
They're a pretty penny. They are a pretty penny. I actually don't know if it's in this article or not.
That sounds like Essence Fest type tickets to me.
But there's a good cause, because as you can see, it supports the Tom Joyner Foundation, which supports historically Black colleges and universities across the country. Awesome. So this Tom Joyner calls this giving with a purpose, or partying with a purpose. And he's been doing this for a number of years, probably over a decade now. And it's just as popular as the first time that he's done it. This next year, which this is going to be in May 20th through the 20th through the 27th, so a 7-day cruise. They'll be going to Cozumel, Cayman Islands, Jamaica, and they'll have some days at sea. I was trying to see in here how long he's been doing this. I don't have that stat right there in front of me, but like I said, I know that he's probably been doing this cruise for over at least 10 years. And again, it's almost sold out. Here it is, just a little bit of information about the foundation. It was founded in 1998 as the brainchild of retired nationally syndicated radio personality Tom Joyner. The mission of the foundation is to support historically Black colleges and universities with scholarships, endowments, and capacity building enhancements. Through fundraising and donor development initiatives, $65 million has been raised to support more than 29,000 students attending HBCUs. So that's the beautiful thing like that. And why I bring this up is because some of us are interested in forming nonprofits, and this is a great way that he's used his vision to help other people, other students. And I just love how he's done this, and he's been consistent. I mean, he's retired, but this thing just keeps going and going and going. Gotcha. So if you're interested, then you can go to www.fantasticvoyage2023.com. You game, Sandy? You want to go?
Look, that dollar sign is going to matter. So it depends on what that says. Because if that's some Essence Festival tickets, we're gonna have to do some extra podcast episodes and get
Right.
monetized fast. Because so Rico asked a quick question. He said, "Is this in a low-lying area? When it rains, floods will happen." So this is off of Biscayne Boulevard, near about 100 and I'd say 20th Street, 123rd, something in that range. So it's pretty close in terms of low-lying. And not only is it close to low-lying, it's close to a great deal of congestion going to the east because there's a major thoroughway to go to the beach side, to go to like the Bal Harbor area and whatnot. So it's a lot of congestion on that end. It's really not a wise place to be building another high rise. But hey, to each his own.
And to answer your questions, everything's mostly sold out. There's the junior suites are like 7,900, balconies are like 5,200. And then the least expensive ones are the interiors, and they're like 38, 28, and 2,500.
How many days is this?
It's a week.
It's a week. I'd have to see what them dollars and cents play out to, but we'll check that out. We'll check that out.
But we should all be mindful to support historically Black colleges and universities. I just think that. Do you think that we, in general, as Black citizens, organize enough to do that work, or do you? What's your thoughts?
To support HBCUs?
Yeah.
I think one of the problems that we have with HBCU support is alum support. I mean, that should have been the first mark of support. But then also, when I look at folks that have the means, like, certain celebrities and people who are high net worth, I guess the question it can be, what's in it for me? Because sometimes people don't give just to give. They give for there's a thing. So I don't know. I don't know if we're equipped to really just do it. I see some signs of positivity as I see some things happening in the HBCU sports world. And I think sports always seems to be the thing that kind of perks up universities.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I think this next year or two will tell. And I'm going to mention something before we close out that kind of gives me some hope of some imagery that leads us into a direction of more support.
Absolutely. Well, great comments. Thank you, Sandy. I'm turning it back over to you.
All right. So this is something that hits home for me because I think I violate all three habits that are listed.
Oh, boy.
So this says, avoid these 3 tempting habits for remote work productivity. Now, as we kicked into COVID phase 3, many of us have either completely gone remote, continue to be hybrid, or have moments of remote work, whether it be once a week or a couple times a week or whatnot. And so what happens when we work from home is just a funny thing, because when you have to get up and get dressed and go somewhere, there's one mode at play. But when you are sitting at home and you just get up off the bed and you just roll on to whatever the work is, there's a problem. I mean, there's perks, there's pros and cons. But let's think about these mistakes that they're going to mention in this article. So it says checking email or Slack outside of normal business hours. Now, when you're at an office setting, usually the computer that you're checking these emails is at work. But let's say you have your home office and it's in your bedroom, or your home office is in your house. You might be inclined to be like, let me just go over there and check my little email. I'm already on the computer because I'm at home.
Right.
And the problem with that is you may fall into a habit where you're responding to people after hours, which means they're going to respond back to you in after hours. And then you may create an expectation. What do you think about this part? Checking email after hours or outside of normal hours?
I like it because I've been told that we should not clog up our morning and our days checking emails, that we need to be focused on our accomplishment, what's on that list to get accomplished and knocked out the way. And once you get those things done, if you're checking emails around lunch or in the afternoon, so be it. Or for some people, it could mean the very end of the day. But we can, I'll say this one additional thing. We can condition our client base to know when we will respond, however.
Okay, that makes sense. You got a good point. Good point. I just don't answer no email. If it's after hours, you ain't getting no response out. We'll talk tomorrow or the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, not getting dressed before starting work. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, whatever I would normally work in at an office setting is definitely not what I've been doing for the last 3 years. And I swear, flip flops, sweatpants, and t shirts have become my uniform. And it's unfortunate because when I have to get dressed, I can tell you it's such an ordeal. Like I had to go to an event recently and I was on the phone with one of my girlfriends because we were all meeting up. And I'm like, dang, I got to get dressed. I got to find clothes. I got to put real shoes on. Like it was just like I just felt aggravated. And then when we got to our location, it's like, oh God, I haven't worn real shoes in a while. Like it's painful.
My
So
feet are swollen.
I think this one, again, I'm violating all these rules. I think this one is an important one because I think feeling like you're at work matters. And I don't necessarily mean you have to put on a full suit and whatever, but I think maybe if you had like a work shirt or if you had like certain types of clothing that you would wear normally for work versus clothing that you would wear at the house, I think this helps. It definitely does something to your mindset. Because I
When
know
you
when I'm
put on some form of clothes, you're saying?
girl, when you put on clothes that would not be lounge clothes for home, right? Something that at least remotely would be work like maybe put a dress on or put some
Can I
slacks and a
push?
shirt on.
Can I push back just a little bit?
You can. It
What
ain't
is
gonna change Sandy's foolishness though.
what is wrong with sitting in front of your computer, rated R, but you're getting things done?
I think what's wrong with it is it can create other bad habits. And when it's actually time for you to do things outside of the house, you just have a hard time getting yourself together. I think if you can create a system of I
What, you
get
think
up.
I'll forget to put my bra on when I leave the house or something?
No, I think you're just going to take longer to get yourself out because I'm going to give you an example for me. When I have to meet someone like for lunch or go to a event, it's an ordeal. Like I feel pain trying to get myself together because I'm not used to doing it and I don't have clothes prepared for anything. So it's like now I'm trying to iron something. Now I'm trying to find something. Now I'm digging through laundry. Oh, I didn't even fold the laundry. So now I have to go through that laundry. Now I got to go iron it. But when I would normally go to work, stuff would be ready. So I'm
Okay,
putting
Sam,
something on
I
to
know.
go.
I see what you're dealing with. What you're dealing with is that you need to stay prepared
Yes.
like you would as if you were leaving the house every day. So, how you would get your wardrobe together, you would lay out your skirts and your blouses. You need to continue in that mode
Yes.
every single day. That's what I do. So, because I leave the house every day and I was leaving during COVID a lot, going to the office working.
Yeah.
But I just kept in that mode of, hey, get up, get your clothes on, take your shower, be ready to
Mhm.
go. Because at some point you can sit here and work for a couple hours at home, but I'm usually transitioning. I'm either out showing properties at some point, or I'm over at the office, I'm meeting with people, I'm back here at my home.
Yeah.
I just feel all over the place. But when I get home, I do love to peel off. I'm going to be honest.
I don't mind the peel off. I think it's just the day starting. If I
Yeah.
just get up and start working, I'm
Yeah.
not as productive as if I get up, do something else, get ready, and then get to work. Then I can take a break and then get back to work. Whereas if I don't, I could get up. Let's say I got up this morning to start this. I may be working from the time that we started this podcast until the end of the day. And
Wow. I
literally just
see.
breaking to grab a bite, grab a quick shower, but I'm not really separating from the work. And I think it creates an issue.
I love what you're saying. I think we do need to be mindful of these transitions in our lives
Yeah.
and that they need to be clearly delineated so that our days don't become one big blur. I think
Oh,
you're right.
yes. And let's see, working in every room of your home. It's a separating work from your home can be pretty challenging when both exist in the same space. I've seen a lot of folks have home offices designated. That's just the workspace. That way, when I'm done working, I'm not still in the same space. I can go and do something else and take my brain and disconnect from the work. Because I think what remote work sometimes can do, it envelops you in the work and you can't find a divide. So I think you definitely should have a designated space to work and also shut down that space when it's time to shut it down.
It's a good one.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think remote work is here to stay. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. We're going to have to really get used to what it means to work remotely. And I just think that it's important for us to consider how we approach our day-to-day work and finding ways to create better balance so that we don't just lose ourselves in the work.
That is very good point. Very good point. It's all about that mindset, and we have to keep those nice transitions in our day because we are transitioning so much every day.
Yeah, it's
So,
a challenge. It's a challenge.
good article. So, Sandy, we need to take a little bit of time and talk about ourselves, and we got to get used to that. I know we're very uncomfortable sometimes talking about ourselves, but tell everyone, what does Sandy B's typical day look like? Your typical work day.
Well, speak for yourself. I am not uncomfortable talking about my all things. So a typical day for me, every day is kind of crazy, but I would say I typically start the day off either meeting with somebody or dealing with something that's a residue of the day before. I tend to try to drink something for breakfast because that's the fastest way for me to do that. I will start something. So it'll either be like, for example, yesterday I was working on estate planning drafts for a client. I was also dealing with a guardianship issue that never seems to end. And then I have some probate cases that are going haywire. So each morning part is usually trying to kind of fight some fires. By the time I hit about the lunch hour, I usually try to disconnect for a little bit. And then I try to check my emails as much as I can, respond to emails. If I have some more filings I have to do, I do that. Oh, I forgot to add, sometimes in the morning, I will connect with my paralegal just to see where she's at with certain things that I've given her because she's remote and she's not full time with me. She's a contractor. So I give her certain tasks to do and we kind of connect, I'd say once or twice a week, sometimes. I send her some tasks. She sends me stuff to review and then I send her the okay so that she can file. I tend to have conversations with different people that I've met in social media space, sometimes in the afternoons, and schedule appointments to have those conversations in the afternoons. Client appointments, I typically only do on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday because I keep my Mondays and Fridays for the randomness, as well as my own personal and professional development meetings.
Nice.
For example, today I have my mastermind, so I love to do my business networking and stuff. But overall, my day is almost like picture a hamster wheel crashed into a roller coaster and it just keeps on going. And there's some screeching here and there. And usually it's me screaming about something and talking loud and all that craziness. And generally, I try to end my day around like 6 or 7 o'clock because I don't work a traditional schedule. So I may start my day at a random hour and end my day at a random hour. But each day is weird, is how I would describe it. How about you, Lisa? What?
Because there's always something different. No, I totally get you. My day usually starts off early in the morning. I'm usually kind of posted, ready to work by 7:30 or quarter till 8. That's why our podcasting in the morning works out great for me because I know we're both early birds.
Yes.
But when I do get up in the morning, I usually have something that I need to finish from the day before. So anything that I need to finish tackling or dealing with, I will usually start off dealing with that. Or you may contact with my virtual paralegal as well and get certain things in play, our next new case, opening up another case and doing legal research, whatever we have to set up, we get it set up for the week. And then I have a day of the week, usually on Thursday and Fridays, where I switch gears to real estate. I've been trying to go to a networking event outside of the office space every week to connect with people in real estate, realtors, other people looking, buying. So I'm trying to work on making sure I get my butt up out of the office every single week to be in spaces like that, showing property, helping people with real estate. So I think for me, it's juggling, not only juggling with that, but just real estate, law, podcasting, I feel like a huge juggling act. But I do, but I absolutely love everything I do. And I'm just going to keep fighting for these things because I really love what I do.
Yeah, I think the juggling act that you mentioned is definitely something special. I mean, I'm glad we record podcasts in the mornings on Tuesdays and Fridays because it makes a world of difference. I think one thing that cut into my schedule for some time was my book editing. That sucker took quite a bit of time, and I found myself sometimes for hours on end just trying to chip away at it. But you know, the beauty of being an entrepreneur and having a little bit of a handle over what your schedule looks like, I think it gives us some great flex time. Um, but I definitely appreciate like a lot of these different experiences. So that was good, Lisa. I'm glad that we could share like some information on what we do as entrepreneurs and encourage others to take advantage of, you know, some of the information and experiences that we offer here.
Right,
Um,
because as you know, we said, Sandy, we're not perfect and we're not going to come on here and act like we have it all together. That
no,
was never the purpose of this broadcast anyway. It's to talk
absolutely.
about the real day-to-day grind and the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Facts on facts. Now, I wanted to make sure that we close out. I wanted to highlight this young man because I see a little bit of a light that in you mentioning HBCUs and some of the things that we probably need to be doing. I thought we would talk a little bit about a young man named Travis Hunter. Have you heard that name?
It does sound familiar.
So I'm gonna play a little clip of Travis kind of circulating during I think this is one of the recent games. So this video clip is from Reach the People Media, and they say Travis Hunter inspires the youth to dream big. And while I play a little bit of this, I'm going to read just a little bit about Travis. But Travis Hunter is an American football cornerback and wide receiver for the Jackson State Tigers. You know, Coach Prime, Deion
Coach
Sanders,
Prime.
a consensus 5-star recruit in high school. He made headlines in December when he committed to Jackson State, becoming the highest ranked prospect to ever commit to a HBCU or an FCS program. Now, interestingly enough, Travis has Florida roots. He's born in West Palm Beach, Florida. He went to a high school called Collins High School. I believe that's here in Florida. He's 6'1", 165 pounds, and he's a freshman. Now imagine the excitement of the folks in Jackson, Mississippi to have the number one, the 5-star recruit who made headlines coming to Jackson, Mississippi to play for the Jackson State Tigers. And look at the faces of these beautiful black people and the beautiful black children, black boy joy,
Oh
seeing
my
someone that
God.
looks like them.
They're so excited.
They are extremely excited, and I'll play just a little clip of the audio a bit just so you can hear some of the things that people are saying to him as he's walking through. Look at the kids' faces.
That excitement is beautiful, right?
Can you imagine? Look at the
That's what
kids'
I
faces.
love to see. That's what I love to see with black men happening. That type of joy, black man joy. And
I just this is amazing to me as I look around and I look at the faces and how happy they are. Let me
I
scroll a little
love
bit
it.
further here.
That's beautiful to
Look at these
see.
kids. Look at the little
Totally
man. He's
beautiful.
like, I got a finger too.
Why are you not investing?
I mean, it's just beautiful. It's beautiful to see these things and these visuals because you know you always want us to have a wonderful light in the community, and you know there's something about this young man that stands out beyond you know everything that I've seen you know in the sports world. And it's not to say that he's the only one that is bringing light. It's just there's a little something about this young man, and he's a freshman.
I love it. And the excitement on all of those everybody's faces, but the other young men and boys, just to
Yes.
see them being so proud of their fellow brethren, that's a beautiful thing to see because you know, Sandy, it seems like we're just plastered with all the negative stuff about Black men and boys.
Yes.
That this right here, I could see this all day, 24 hours a day, and it does my heart good to see things like this.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. I'm looking at people, and mind you, some of the people that are trying to take pictures with him are actually from the opposing team that they were playing that week. I think they were playing Texas Southern. And I watched this older woman that stepped to him, and she was just like, she had so many words of encouragement. Even this woman that's talking to him right now, she was saying some words to him, and she was very I thought she said something like she's very proud of him or something. And you see the mothers and the fathers just like really light up, and they're really excited about his presence. Look at this woman talking to him, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, but you're right. There's something about him because he really he's feeling the fans, and he's letting them relate to him, and he gets it. He has some.
He's even taking pictures with somebody from the other team. It's just like, wow.
They all like him. They all like him.
Yeah, and it's just it's something different, man. When you see that Black boy joy and just looking at our people appreciating us, there's nothing quite like it. There's nothing quite like it. So
beautiful young man. He's on his way.
I encourage you to check out this video. It's a little bit like this, about 10 minutes, but check out this video of Travis Hunter inspiring the youth to dream big. Shout out to Reach the People Media for, this video clip, but it's just excitement, man. It's pure excitement.
I have a little retraction. I did not know anything about Travis Hunter. I thought you were going to talk about some country celebrity singer or something, but yeah.
I can't. Look at him signing the children's shirts. Look at this. He's signing the children's shirts, y'all. Like I just can't.
Travis is the man.
Travis is the man on campus. He got kids, wanting him to sign their clothing, they ball, their footballs, and parents wanting to take pictures with him, and just it's.
One other thing, update. Did you hear Kyrie Irving is going to retire?
Oh Lord, Kyrie.
Because he got I think he was suspended.
I thought they removed his suspension. I was reading something about that the other day. Did he retire today?
Well, I thought this is from yesterday's news. Let me just see if I can pull it up quickly since I did bring it up. But if not, we can definitely talk about it next time. But I was just so outdone over how he was treated for referring people to check out a documentary or some controversial research about the Bible and Jews and Black folks.
Oh,
it's really crazy because I've read the book or listened to the book that Kyrie got in trouble about, and I can tell you just the gist of that, Sandy, is that it's about a biblical historical perspective or of who are the chosen people. The Bible talks about the chosen people of God and that type of thing.
Oh boy.
And the author says it's Black folks. It always has been Black folks. There's a lot of imposters that are trying to put themselves in that place historically, but it's us that's being referred to. And the thing is, why is that detrimental to everybody else to either listen to a point of view like that or to buy into it? Why? I just don't understand how that could lead to someone's career being basically torn to shreds because he told other people to check out some documentary that is controversial.
I'm always interested when I hear these types of things, and it's like I want to somehow pinpoint what it is that was problematic. Like, can someone kind of point to what the issues were? Because obviously there was something that must have hit somebody, right?
Well, it said this thing basically is saying that the Jews that we know who are the Jews in this country are not the original Jews of the Bible.
That's what the story. I mean, the
that's
film?
That's what it comes down to. That the Jews in the Bible, that the Jews today are not the children of Israel that are spoken of in the Bible.
And that's what was considered anti-Semitic.
That was considered anti-Semitic because this author is saying the children of Israel are the Black people and the Black people in this country and the Black people that have been basically spread out to every corner of the universe, that we are the chosen people, and that the Jews are not the chosen people. And that's controversial, and that's religious, that's controversial. It gets into a lot of different things, and I can see why people's emotions get derailing, but it's still something that people have to read, study about, and decide for themselves.
So
Yeah.
I'm seeing that the meaning of anti-Semitism is hostility towards or discrimination against Jews as a religious, ethnic, or racial group. So they're basically saying that what was presented in that video is hostility or prejudice towards Jewish people.
Well, it's no hostility. There's not, this author is not calling for any hostile or violent act toward Jewish people. What it is saying is that history has got it wrong, or that history has told a big lie, and that has used the Bible to tell part of that lie.
Wow.
That's what they're saying. That's what it's really saying. It's like, how there have been, I've been around Black Muslims, and they've said things like, well, Jesus was in white and that type of thing. I mean, it goes back to some of those kind of things that people deal with.
Okay.
Was history distorted and somehow to basically just erase the Black man out of everything, all history, where he came from, no biblical history, just no account whatsoever on the face of the earth. That's where these authors are coming from and saying that stuff is not true, that we need to go back and look at the real history, how it really played out. And that's what I'm seeing now. Are there some things in there that I can tell that are biased and coming from a point of view that you know how people have to kind of insert their own kind of point of view in, where history is not always perfectly laid out and you can't connect every single dot, and you put your own kind of spin on it. Right. I there's a lot of that is going on in this type of resource, but there's enough historical reference that the author gives where you can actually go and check out a lot of the things he's saying, whether they're true or not.
Okay. So you can vet the information for yourself to see, what the deal is, basically.
I can vet the information to say that I wish that people of color had been taught more about their history, their early history, BC, as well as AD, because before them, when I mean them, like Europeans and lighter generations and colors, there were Black people, and the source it was in Africa. So that history was there. It's not taught, it's not prevalent, but we are of great kings and queens of Africa and of great wealth. And there's been a lot of wars and a lot of strife and a lot of nations coming against nations and robbing and stealing. And hey, that's what's happened over time. And we are where we are, but we had it going on historically as people of color, but we were victimized. And that's a lot of stuff that happened way before now. And it would do all of us good to go back and try to at least piece some of this history together. We had a lot of early history in the world.
We just got a lot of issues. I'm starting to realize the more that I listen to these breakdowns and the issues that people have with what people have to say. It's like, why not just educate?
Education is the best thing. And I think if anything that I think that makes Jews upset is when the author starts talking about Israel, because he's saying that the people of the region are dark, that they have skin like ours, like historically those people were dark. And if you look at the majority of the folks that are occupying Israel, it's like, who are these people and where did they come from? He's saying that their origin are Eastern European Jews. And he said that is not their home where they are in Israel. They've taken that, but he said that's not the original children of Israel. So the Bible says we have been scattered like lost sheep around throughout the world, and we have not been brought back home. So he's saying the people who've come home to Israel, that they aren't them. So that is what I think Jews consider. When you start talking that talk, I think they consider that highly anti-Semitic.
That's why I don't talk to people. This is exactly why I don't talk to people about anything that has to do with faith and religion and my personal ideas, because frankly, I believe religion is an individual thing. It's a personal thing, and people need to keep it that way and stop trying to convince others about what's right, what's wrong, and stop trying to chastise folks for not understanding. Educate, provide education. That's all you can really do, and let it be.
That's true. But you can't get mad at people whose history have been destroyed, who has been taken away from them, everything about their very foundational existence. And when people try to go and find out and learn about their past and their ancestors, and they dig up information, controversial or not, you can't like tell people you don't get to have a career no more because you're scratching too deep. You're going far below the surface, and you're getting into some controversial things, and now we're going to just ruin you. That's what that looks like to me, and I don't like that.
I mean, it is what happens in our world of cancel culture. We don't have conversations. We want to cancel. That's it. And there's not really a way around that without just outright ignoring. And it's kind of hard to ignore, things that people have to say or do, when you are taking something personally. So, I can't get mad at folks for being upset about whatever it is that Kyrie or anybody else has to say. That's their prerogative. I just don't understand why the cancellation has to exist every time. Anytime we talk about something, it's cancellation.
I would love to put someone from historical Jews perspective in a room with this brother and let them go at it.
I think sometimes these conversations are definitely needed, and I don't really have words about it. There's not much I can say. Lord. Here comes
so that's
Doug.
that. But I feel for Kyrie, and I cannot be mad at him for telling people to check out something that does have some historical value. Controversial, but it definitely has some historical significance and value.
All right, you gonna have some folks coming after you. It wasn't me, y'all. I ain't saying nothing. I was just quiet.
I'm just saying that. I really do. I do not believe in shutting books and keeping information away from people. And there's a lot of controversial stuff out there. People don't seem to be so upset about the Constitution referring to Black people as 3/5 of a human being. I mean, where was all the outrage about that? That was in writing. Nobody tried to burn that book.
But remember, Lisa, you're talking about things that don't affect people. So if it doesn't affect you, most of the time we don't care, generally speaking, right? So any group of people, if it doesn't affect you, you don't care. Because it's like, I remember when they were talking about, there was something about the Asian hate. They were talking about Asian hate. And I just kept thinking to myself, people always want us, as in Black folks, to rally behind all of these pushes, right? Mm-hmm. But then when it's Black folks dealing with stuff, it'd be like, oh, slavery was a long time ago. Oh, you guys make everything about race, or oh, you guys are always pulling the race card. Oh, you guys, and I'm just like, oh, okay, so we got to have uproar for y'all, but nothing against any group. I'm just saying, generally speaking, I don't feel uproar when we have issues in our community. I feel like people always find a reason why we just need to get over it.
Yeah, the thing is that we have to take time to find out and learn about our history because it's been taken away from us. So who would actually be mad at someone for trying to find out something about themselves? And you got to start somewhere, and you're not getting it from traditional sources like schools and libraries because they're trying to take all that stuff out. So you have to have some resources.
Well, Doug says that the problem is not with that. It's just that it's the Holocaust denial, and in the book and the documentary. That's
he did not. He did not deny it. He did not deny it. He said the Holocaust. He said the period lasted for 12 years, and he said that it did exist. He makes some differences as far as the experiences, like what African Americans went through versus what the the Jews went through in Germany, like those experiences weren't quite the same, but they were both bad. Yeah, so I think he acknowledged that.
Well, maybe they don't feel the same. This is all these are the things sometimes I just wonder to myself, like where do we even go from here? How do we get some kind of consensus where everybody is okay with what is?
Right. He just said those are Eastern Europeans in Israel. He said those are not Jews, those are Eastern Europeans that are there. That's what he's saying. I think that's the thing that, makes someone who's Jewish upset, because the Jews believe that they are the chosen ones from the Bible. So, when someone says, no, it wasn't you, it was our group.
Yeah, I can see where they have a problem with that.
They have a problem with that. Yeah.
Wait a minute, I'm supposed to be the one.
Yeah, so so that's some controversial stuff. And my thing is, why can't we all just get along and just know that we're all God's children? I do believe there's been some trickery throughout history, especially when it comes to people of color trying to erase our history and our heritage and pretty much take everything away from us so that we'll always be of the slave class. But I do believe there's been huge concerted efforts across nations to kind of keep that myth in place. But, that stuff can only last for so long without people finally coming into knowledge, the real knowledge.
Well, we shall see what happens at this point, because all I see is things going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now, I don't really see a resolve to this. Doug says the Asian hate was directed at us as the perpetrators, which I don't believe is correct.
But it was. He's absolutely right.
No, I'm saying I don't think we were the perpetrators. That's
no.
that I don't agree with that. Like,
but they focus on us, like for if there was some crime act that happened between 8. You saw that, right? You saw what F News did. FOX News did. They constantly, it was only like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 different really bad crime scenes, but they plastered the news with those stories.
And Doug said that's what the ADL made references to.
Okay.
Now, I don't know much about the ADL. Like, who does the ADL represent interest-wise? Is it just an organization that represents against all hate, or do they have certain groups that they focus on? Because I've never been familiar with them.
I definitely don't want to profess to be an expert on their behalf, but from what I know, they are the Anti-Defamation League.
Anti-Defamation League.
Yeah, and they do stand up for anti-defamation. They come out against all groups, but the way I understand it mainly is that they protect the Jews and, the story about the Jews and that type of thing.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't just say Jews, but it does say they help fight anti-Semitism. It does say that. They combat extremism, and I'm online now, and that they prevent hate crimes. However, the way I see it usually is that if there's an issue involving Jews, they definitely come out and get out in the forefront. And I don't know that I really feel that they do that for all other groups equally.
I think that's the only time I really heard them say anything is with that, and maybe I heard something when the Asian hate thing was up, but I don't remember anything else really from them, but I could be wrong. Who knows?
Exactly. So, like I said, I think it's just like we have the American Civil Liberties Union. They ask for money every year to fight hate crime against all people. So there are organizations that we can all think about supporting to fight global hate and that type of thing. Just get involved. That's what I would say. We just got to get involved. But that whole race and religion thing, you're right, Sandy, is messy. It's convoluted. But I do encourage people to study their religious history, to understand their place in history, especially if we're people of color, to understand our plight, because our history has been erased. And that's been done very intentionally. So we have to learn And we are going to stumble upon controversial resources and things like that, but we have to learn. And if whoever can't understand that, that's your problem.
Doug says ADL is a Jewish organization.
Yes.
So,
yes. So
okay.
that makes sense. They mainly represent their interests. So, but they have a lot of money, and they could possibly help some other groups who don't get the attention and the money that they get, when it, like the Asians or people, Black people. They could probably do a lot more to unify across racial lines. And that's what I would love to see them do, because they have deeper pockets, apparently. And, a lot of them have gotten paid from, they've gotten paid reparations, and then they continue to support each other and their causes. So they're not hurting. They're not hurting economically.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. Well, I think we've gone around the gamut. Let's see here. The plight goes deeper than religion. Interesting. Awesome.
I think it does too. Like I said, I think it's deep to talk about, but I just think we can have a conversation on that for 3 hours. At the end of 3 hours, we will probably be no farther than where we are in our own thoughts and thinking.
Hey, I already told you my position. I don't be trying to have engaging conversations about nothing in this realm, mostly because I realize we're not going to be on the same page no matter how many ways we try to slice it, because people get into their feelings. They don't want to hear other perspectives, and they think only their community has been hurt. That's how people are by nature. They think their
Right.
community is the only one that's been hurt, and they don't want to acknowledge the hurts of others. So it's like, if you can't acknowledge me, why would I acknowledge you?
Exactly.
It makes it a difficult way to have conversation.
That's very, very true. So it comes down to basic respect. And we have a lot of things out there on the street that we got to deal with. A lot of crime. People aren't, they don't care if you're Black or white. A lot of folks that are out there committing crimes, they don't care what your religion is. They don't care where you come from. They just want what they want, and they're going to try to take it from you. So at the end of the day, we can have all the thinking we want, but we need to band together and maintain a civilized society and respect each other and operate within context. And that's all. That's the best we can do until we can grow and do better.
That's facts.
All right. Well, I'm done with that.
All right. Lisa was on the soapbox. We are shutting down. And I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and all of the nuggets dropped throughout. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and check us out on Instagram at B is for BIZ, where we drop some snippets and other information for the entrepreneur community. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you again on Tuesday.
Have a good one.
Bye, guys.